Could it be that some drivers often end up in car crashes when things get tense, or when all eyes are on them? Think of famous race car drivers like Stephen Wallace and Danica Patrick. They often had accidents, but didn't win much. But right now, we're not talking about them. We're talking about a different racing star, Brian Vickers. But first, subscribe for more. When 2004 rolled around, marking his transition from the Busch to the Cup Series, Vickers found himself in control of some of the most sophisticated race cars in the sport. However, being a rookie, he was prone to make mistakes. One such error took place at the Pocono Casino, which was particularly memorable. After crashing into Bobby Labonte and sending him into the wall on the first turn, Vickers narrowly avoided a collision himself as he slid back into the race course. Labonte's displeasure was evident, and understandably so. My initial reaction was, I wouldn't be surprised if that was Brian Vickers, and indeed, I was right. This crash had far-reaching implications, notably affecting Labonte's career trajectory and his performance for the season. In 2004, due to an accident instigated by Vickers, Labonte fell short of the Nextel Cup chase by 49 points. He plummeted from the 12th place to the 29th, a drop equating to a loss of 51 points. If not for the crash with Vickers, he might have made the cut for the first chase, but this was merely the beginning of Vickers' eventful journey. There was another incident when the competition was intensifying and the situation seemed on the verge of chaos. As Vickers neared victory, it seemed like his car was slowing down and being blocked. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't maneuver his car without causing further collisions. Yet against all odds, Vickers emerged victorious. He outpaced his competition, barely beating Mike Bliss at the finish line. Bliss had indeed put up a commendable performance, but it just wasn't his day. It all ended well, though, for Vickers finished third in the All-Star race, proving his mettle and competitiveness. However, he struggled to maintain this level of competitiveness at Hendrick. As the year drew to a close, it became apparent that Vickers wouldn't be returning to HMS in 2007. Reflecting upon it, this turn of events added an additional layer of discomfort to Vickers' already remarkable narrative. Vickers, with a twinkle of determination in his eyes, was preparing to make his move. Junior, driving number 8, was starting to pull away from the pack, but then, in an unexpected twist, Earnhardt and Jimmie Johnson were knocked out of the race. It was an alarming situation, but it was no time to retreat. The leaders had already been given the white flag indicating the final lap of the race. At Talladega, Vickers made a move that would become more controversial. He collided with Dale Earnhardt Jr., the race leader at the time, with an aim to overtake his teammate in the championship race. His actions were met with boos and jeers from the crowd at Talladega, who didn't take kindly to Vickers attempting to shift blame onto Jr. Reflecting on the incident, Vickers had this to say, "It wasn't how I pictured it. Jimmy had a solid run and I was assisting him. But when they tried to push him out of the way, I slid in behind him to avoid causing a further mess." Vickers continued to express his regret over the incident. "The last thing I wanted was for Jimmy to get caught up in this mess. But when they dropped him and cut him off, Jimmy swerved and I had to move with him." Even though the victory wasn't as he had imagined, Vickers was content. "It might not be how I wanted to win, but bringing the number 25 car home in first place still feels fantastic. Time sure does move slowly." Asked about his feelings after the race, especially given his affiliation with Hendrick, Vickers replied thoughtfully before moving to Red Bull Racing. In his second race with the team, he impressively secured a 10th place finish, earning points for his new team. Though it was a satisfying ending, Vickers knew it wouldn't linger in people's memories for long. However, the significance of his accomplishment didn't go unnoticed. He managed to get Toyota's first top 10 Cup finish, a notable achievement in NASCAR's history. It's important to note that while Vickers was often labeled as a troublemaker on the track, he was equally recognized for his driving prowess. After a tumultuous 2007 season, Vickers picked up the pace in 2008, demonstrating he was a genuine contender for the title. His ambitions soared even higher in 2009. This was the year when Dale Earnhardt Jr. was looking for redemption at the Daytona 500, which could well pave the way for Vickers' success. An interesting incident occurred during one of the races when all of the vehicles had to halt for a green flag before the caution. There was a heated exchange between Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Brian Vickers, both senior drivers in the field. The unfolding drama led to several cars sliding off the track and crashing into the grass infield, an unnecessary and avoidable situation, which even the seasoned Jimmie Johnson found unfair. Despite the hurdles, by the end of the summer, Vickers was still in contention for one of the 12 spots in the chase. The culmination of this pursuit came a few weeks before the chase began, at the Michigan race. Brian Vickers, the current pole sitter, hadn't won a race since 2006, due to a terrible exit from Turn 2 during a previous race, but now in June he was back in control, leading the race despite some odd noises from his car. Knowing that Jeff Gordon was in the same boat, Vickers pressed on, driving at half speed down the back straightaway. Despite the obstacles, Vickers was determined to win. With the odds stacked in his favor, Brian Vickers crossed the finish line, securing his second career victory at Michigan. Vickers' triumphant moment came when he secured a place in the chase by finishing 12th in points. This achievement marked a significant turning point in his career. As the year 2009 concluded, Vickers was projected to spend most of the 2010 season within the top 20 and compete for a chase spot. However, his season was abruptly ended due to health issues with blood clots. Despite the setback, Vickers made a comeback in 2011. This was the moment when his relationship with fans seemed to become more concrete, for better or worse. Always a fan favorite, Dale Jr. had an interesting encounter with Vickers. The number 6 car would have ricocheted across the track if it hadn't been for Vickers in the 83 car. This incident served as a learning experience. Unlike his late season performance, this was just a regular crash that Vickers couldn't avoid. There was a heated competition for the 26th spot in one of the races. It's not an unusual sight to see someone stuck in the middle of a 3 wide. Instead of a door, there was barely a gap to fit through. This led to a tense situation with Ambrose. Something happened there that left him unsatisfied, but no one can blame him. Who would be at fault? Let's see. Yes. During the race, NASCAR decided to temporarily sideline Brian Vickers, instructing him to park his car in the garage. At the bottom of Turn 3, it was McMurray and Brian Vickers facing off, a battle of odds 1-83. Maybe Vickers was a bit careless there, and McMurray had to bear the brunt. He's undoubtedly on the right path, but the sudden brake failure led to a catastrophic situation for Jamie. As McMurray decided to withdraw from the accident scene, it appeared as if his car's battery was having a moment on the track. And then there was the time when Vickers tried to take McMurray's spot. I know the baseball season just ended, but that was a complete strikeout. So it was almost a miss. Let's call it a foul ball, shall we? It seemed like he was trying to adjust his position. Yes, he must have been expecting to rotate his fresh set of tires and wheels. Yes, that makes sense. Just then, Matt Kenseth returned to the track. He might have damaged the Red Bull Toyota. A message was coming through. Brian Vickers was packing up his stuff as a response to Martinsville was being prepared in Phoenix. It's safe to say that describing 2011 as a dark spot in his career wouldn't be an exaggeration. Yet despite all this, Vickers continued to show his commitment to the sport, driving the 55 Toyota for Michael Waltrip Racing in selected races. And then in 2013, he had what would be his last real chance at glory. Brian Vickers concluded his racing career with brief but memorable stints in the Cup Series. Despite a final crash, his top 10 finish remains a testament to his talent. Post-retirement, his public appearances dwindled, especially after his wife's connection to Jeffrey Epstein came to light. What are your memories of Vickers? The highs, the lows, the unforgettable moments? Please share in the comments. If you enjoyed this recap of Vickers' journey, hit the like button and subscribe for more.